All right, welcome back. It's highly unusual for me to do like 2 development videos of creating a demo, but this one kind of deserved some special attention. I hope the music is not too loud. So, as you can see, I just built to test it out. So, in the other video I showed you the scene. It was 3x3 terrains. It was actually going okay until I was adding the FSM AI, and I ran into a lot of problems. So basically, one of the main problems was the NPCs. They have this thing called head track settings, and I had look enabled. I even added hips and head, trying to troubleshoot because I could see it was simply dragging too many resources, too much garbage collection, too much time waiting, milliseconds, and it was just dragging everything down to 2-3 FPS, and we are only talking about maybe 10 AIs. So I disabled look for now. But clearly this entire script is causing issue. I don't even know if I can just disable it. But I think it needs it because this is also turning the character, I believe, when he's shooting, or the AI are shooting. Well, we can actually try that out. So if we take a soldier here and disable the head track, we can see what happens. You can see we're at 14 FPS right now, and there's really nothing to render. But we are rendering 24 million tris. Yeah, he's not shooting, he's just doing his dance. So for sure it needs to be there for the AI to work. I don't know why Cozy keeps adding moons and moons and moons. Anyway, also the terrain I was working on in the previous video. I told you about the, what do we call it, the front, where we have the tanks shooting and the soldiers. And it was working okay, but we were running at maybe 1 frame per second. It was a PowerPoint slideshow, that's all it was. So I thought, okay, how can I optimize this? Well, let's start out by splitting up the terrain. So I imported a World Streamer 2. And the computer stood for some time trying to convert the terrains. Finally it crashed. And World Streamer 2 could simply not handle all the data. Or maybe my computer, of course. I only have, let's see. Where is it? Performance. 47 gigabytes of memory. And even though it's not filling up completely, there are some headroom needed for it to work. And it stayed around 80-90%, and then it just crashed out. Also, the CPU is not really ideal for this type of development, but it's good. I think if I can make it on a shitty computer, then it can also be played on a shitty computer, right? And for sure, once we make it build like I just did, there will be other optimizations. But one of the things I did after that was I quickly created a new scene, and instead this time it's 4x4 in terrain size. Oh, sorry, not 4x4, 2x2. So it's 4 Unity standard size terrains. I didn't modify them at all. Maybe I should. And because I used MicroVerse and I already created all the buildings and everything, it was super easy just to drag it in, get it done. And I had to figure out a way, how can I optimize the amount of AIs in the scene. So I needed some sort of spawn or something. Ideally, you would place it around the player and just have some spawning done, right? There are several spawn systems available. But I thought I'd try my own, because I also wanted some control of the area. So, for example, around the American airbase here, I don't want German soldiers to spawn. I'm sure some of them has ways to check that, but I just didn't want to bother with it. So I created a script. It's hard to see what's going on. So if I create a cube, you can see this is the area it's covering, right? It's not the entire area, but it's covering an area. And this area is basically now me in control here, right? So I wrote a script, and that's basically what I want to talk about today. I have a script running here on this trigger. You can see it has trigger. And basically it checks if the player is in zone or outside the trigger. And I set the amount of NPCs I want in the zone. And there's a delay, so I can add a delay from spawning. There's 1 second. Maybe it should be less. It's an int. We'll leave it at 1. I keep track of the NPCs inside the trigger, so when they die, we remove them. I added the Invector waypoint system to the script, so I generate my waypoints around the map, and I just drag it in here. And I have a spawn point, so we're just spawning at random locations. And of course here we select what we want to spawn. You can just add in anything here. So at the moment I just got this guy, but you can add many different types, right? And it'll just spawn. And must have prefabs is some of the things I think should be in the area, but not necessarily when the player is not there. So I'm actually gonna go around, because there are collectibles in the scene, right? You can see right here. Maybe you could see right here. For example, here we have this ammo box and a rifle. When the player is not here, it does need to show. Of course, this is the starting area, so we'll just leave it. But for the other areas, I will enable this in the trigger zone, so when the player enters, it will appear. When he's not there, there's no reason for the computer to spend time thinking about this, so it will be disabled by default. Basically, I'm also more happy about the second iteration of the map. It seems to be more fluent for me, and that's a good thing. Super fast to set up, only 3 hours compared to the other one where I spent a couple of days. But as you know, what you spend most time on is developing the things to work, right? But once they're there and you create a prefab, or you have them in your assets as scripts or whatever, you just use them when you need them. And just for this demo, I ended up creating several small scripts. And I actually managed to interact with the Invector system. So we have a mission here. Objectives destroyed: 2 radio towers and 1 control tower. Basically, you just drive over the bridge into the city, out on the other side, find these 2. And as you can see at the top, we have a compass. That's from Compass Navigator Pro. And every single enemy and targets, they have a marker, also friendly NPCs, so you can see them up there. But I set the range so you can only see them within a certain distance. Yeah, it's set to 500 units right now. That means you have to be in with a certain range before you can actually see them, including the targets. I'm sure you can override the targets, but I'm not sure. You can see we have them here, objectives. Visibility. Yeah, so we can override them. That might actually be a good idea because they're pretty far from where you start. Another funny thing, or interesting thing, so if we just go to our player here, item manager, and we just give him a World War II RPG and some rockets, 3 rockets. So the goals are this type, that's a control tower, and this is a radio tower. So you can see how fast I put them in. And I just want to show you the interaction the player has to do in game to destroy them. So let's just, I need to adjust this. I was thinking about moving the objective over here. Normally you just hide it when you go into the inventory, but I don't feel like doing that. There we go. It's very loud, I know. So that's the idea, you need to go and deal with these in that way. So let's just take the player again. Get rid of these, he has to find them, right? Save. Of course, war effects is very high, vehicles, ambient, weather. Keep weather very low because otherwise you just hear this wind all the time. Oh, I'm actually not sure I added the RPG to the right. Yeah, it's on war. It should be fine. It's just very loud, right? Alright, and I think that's the biggest changes I ran into, or issues, compared to video 1. So basically this is just a follow-up video, just a quick one from for part 2. So I'll just make some small corrections, make a build, and then I'll have the demo ready. And of course, just like usual, the demo will be available in a link in the description of the demo itself on Google Drive, so you can play it yourself. Alright, see you next time. Bye bye.